Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am your host, John Parker, in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. It is somehow already 33 minutes after the hour. Windy City Times has been the voice of Chicago's LGBTQ plus community since 1985. This year marks the news outlet's 40th anniversary of uplifting queer stories, reporting with pride, and chronicling LGBTQ plus history. You can visit windycitytimes.com/newsletters to sign up for the publication's weekly LGBTQ plus news updates. Obviously, their award-winning journalism is also readable on windycitytimes.com. Jake Wittich is managing editor of Windy City Times, where he reports in-depth stories on Chicago's LGBTQ plus community and oversees the publication's growing newsletter operation. Joins us bi-weekly here on the show. Jake, it is great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Good to be back.
Jake, I think you're on mute.
Oh, no.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, good. Good to be back. Thank you for having me again.
Right. Okay, so some serious ICE escalations and attacks are happening in your city right now. There's a lot to unpack there. Should we start with the arrest of an alderperson?
Yeah. So I'll start with just a little bit of context. ICE has been operating with their so-called Operation Midway Blitz here in the Chicago area for weeks now, maybe even months. It's all a blur. But their actions and attacks in Chicago are really escalating. And this kind of reached a boiling point last Friday when a local alderman, Jessie Fuentes, she oversees the Logan Square neighborhood, which is predominantly Hispanic. She was responding to the hospital where a man that ICE agents were chasing had fallen and injured himself. I don't know. I don't want to say he injured himself in the fall. There's a lot of unclarity. He could have been injured by ICE agents. Who knows? But he was at the hospital where agents were in the room with him, and Jessie Fuentes responded to the hospital and basically told them, "You need a warrant. This man has constitutional rights." And the federal agents weren't having it. So they arrested the alderperson and walked her out of the hospital and were threatening to arrest her.
On what grounds?
That's what she was asking. And they didn't have an answer. And it's really chilling in the video. The agent, he's not wearing a mask. He suddenly grabs the alderperson, whips her around and starts putting her in handcuffs. And she's asking that. She's like, "What law did I break?" They can't answer. And then she says, "This man has constitutional rights. I have constitutional rights." And the agents respond, "No." So yeah, it's a serious escalation. And this happened the same day, earlier that day. ICE agents deployed tear gas outside of a Home Depot and outside of a neighborhood grocery store that passerbys were affected by.
And all of this is on video.
The alderperson getting handcuffed is, yes. And if you go to the Chicago Sun-Times, they have some good reporting on the tear gas incidents. That is not on Windy City Times, but the other outlets have covered that.
I mean, they're committing these acts on video, and I'm assuming these are not undercover cameras. They know the video.
Yes, it was a legislative aide of Jessie Fuentes' filming this. And you can hear the panic in her voice when she's calling for help, saying this is an alderperson being arrested. The alderperson, Fuentes, she did a really good job of keeping her composure. I don't know. She is brave. She really kept standing up to those agents and did not panic.
Well, okay. And that's just one part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, and this is just part of a huge pattern in Chicago of these escalating actions. ICE agents did an overnight raid of a whole apartment building in the South Shore neighborhood, where they arrested close to 40 adults and children in the middle of the night. Just horrible, you know? And then just the other day, an ICE agent shot a woman several times, and the federal government claimed that she was in a vehicle trying to ram into the ICE agents' cars. But then in court the other day, her attorney said that body camera footage contradicts their claims and that she was instead following the ICE agents, kind of whistleblowing to passerbys. There are ICE agents nearby. And apparently the video shows the agent telling the woman, do something. And then he calls her a slur for women. And then he shoots her several times. So it's really getting violent here in Chicago. And it's not Chicagoans inciting this violence.
Did she die?
No, she is alive. Yeah. But ICE agents did already kill someone in Chicago during a traffic stop. So it's past the point of somebody's going to die. Someone already has, you know?
Yeah.
And so the woman who was shot, there was a protest that day, and the ICE agents deployed tear gas on the protesters and the Chicago police officers that were there.
Yeah.
Have there been any statements from CPD about this?
I'm not sure about CPD about that, but I do want to go back to the alderman, Jesse Fuentes. There was a big letter that went out condemning the ICE agents' actions in that incident, signed by the mayor, our city treasurer, our city clerk, and then almost every alderperson. We have 50 alder people here in Chicago. There were 13 who were not on that list, including the alderman of the ward where that South Shore apartment building raid happened. He did not sign the letter condemning ICE's actions. So it's really interesting. And I'm curious, I'm supposed to be talking to Alderman Jesse Fuentes later this week. I'm curious to see if she's been in communication with any of these alder people who didn't sign on to that letter.
With all of these actions, is there any, are you hearing from anybody that you're talking to about any legal mechanism? Like, is this person who arrested her still on the force? I don't even know.
I believe so. There is a video that was shared yesterday of the Waukegan mayor talking to press about, because ICE is in Waukegan, which is near Chicago as well. And in the background of the video, ICE is arresting a woman who's apparently a U.S. citizen. Not that it should matter, but the agent, he's not wearing a mask, and it appears to be the same agent who handcuffed Jesse Fuentes. And he violently shoves this woman into the car while he's arresting her. So I haven't been able to 100% confirm it's him, but it looks like the same guy. So
in your reporting, are you finding any explanations for why they are being so aggressive in their tactics?
I mean, I can't read their minds, but it is alarming. These are a lot of women that are being subjected to this violence, people of color. In Jesse Fuentes' case, she's one of 9 openly LGBTQ plus alder people. So she really checks a lot of those boxes that the Trump administration is making their boogeymen.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is that, like, you know, here when we had the protest over George Floyd's murder, like, we all became suddenly experts in the rules of Minneapolis Police Department's rules of engagement, you know, the guidelines that they are given when you have protests going on. And so when I just see all of these violent acts happening, you know, part of me is like, are these rogue agents that are, you know, inflicting violence? Or because it seems so everywhere that all of them seem to be doing it, I'm like, is this a directive that they're being given from their superiors or on high to be as aggressive as possible when they are attempting to make an arrest?
Yeah, I am not sure, but the chief Greg Bovino, who is overseeing the operation in Chicago, he also oversaw ICE's operations in LA. He was speaking to a Chicago Sun-Times reporter, and they released the transcript, the whole audio as well. And he basically told them, we are making arrests based on how people look. And he told the reporter, who's a white man, someone like you isn't going to be targeted.
Right.
So it's a jarring admission. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all still kind of pretending that there's I think we're pretending there's some logical argument here. And I don't think that's what we're dealing with. I don't think we're dealing with logic or legality.
So they're just basically targeting people based off of their skin tone, not based on any investigation of, like, hey, this person's, you know, green card or visa may be up. They're just randomly picking up people.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it's really alarming. And, you know, an elected official, she was telling them, I'm an elected official, I'm an alderman, and they had no clue what an alderman was. And I think by the time they walked her out of the hospital, they started to realize, oh, we picked the wrong person. And that's why they let the alderwoman go.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that they're being driven by a goal, a made-up number out of a lunatic's mind for how many people they're supposed to arrest every day to try to get to the phony number they created at the beginning of how many people they needed to get rid of. And so I think if you can be objective about the ICE people, and I don't even think of them as agents, I don't think of them as law enforcement officers or anything else, but the thugs that are in ICE, they're going to grab anybody they can get a hold of because they're trying to hit this number. They're being told, you got to get this number. We got to get this number any way we can. So I'm sure they're grabbing people right, left, and sideways to have any justification at all to have their arrest numbers up to where
It meets
Dumbbell
the
wants them
quota.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Yeah. And then we have the National Guard coming into Chicago as well. So it's just getting worse. Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry that you're going through that, Jake.
We are talking with Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times. Do you have, I mean, I don't even know how there are updates. I mean, it seems like the National Guard is coming and then they're not coming, and then there's lawsuits against them. And so, and I saw today on AP News that Trump is saying that Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson should be arrested if they try to say anything about the National Guard coming there. I mean, what are the updates there vis-a-vis the Guard?
Yeah, so via the Guard, relating to that, they've been seen in Chicago training in the Chicago area. However, I don't know what kind of action they've taken already. The city and the state filed a lawsuit to stop this, but the judge basically said they can't make a ruling until Thursday, and they urged the the federal government not to send them in until Thursday when they make a decision. Obviously, they're not going to wait for that. So I don't know. I'm really starting to question. We have all these protections and mechanisms, but are they built to meet this moment?
No.
Are they? So what is the latest rationale for why the Guard needs to go into Chicago?
I think that the federal government is manufacturing a crisis here, where they send these ICE agents in who are terrorizing Chicago. And that is the true terror in this city right now. And when protesters respond, they're responding peacefully. And it's the ICE agents who are really escalating things. And then it gets on the news and they say, look at this chaos in Chicago. We need the National Guard in. But it's really not the protesters who are escalating this.
Wow. And the response from Mayor Johnson?
Yeah. So this morning, President Trump posted on whatever social outlet he's on. I'm just on Blue Sky, really. But he posted that our governor and our mayor should be in jail. And our mayor, Brandon Johnson, he is a Black man. He basically posted, like, it's not the first time that Trump has said a Black person should be jailed, referencing the full page ad that Trump took out demanding that the Central Park 5 be jailed, So
yep.
That was his response. And Pritzker basically said, bring it, I'm standing up to fascism. So,
yep.
Are they, we're coming up on time here, so maybe we can start what folks should be doing in response to, if they find themselves interacting with ICE or if they see something that's happening in their neighborhood. Yeah. We have a lot of resources related to that. We've got about a minute to get started on that.
Cool. I would recommend definitely connecting with the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. They're doing a lot of Know Your Rights trainings. So find out where those are. A lot of them are virtual, so you can learn there. They also have a 24-hour family support network hotline where people can report ICE activity, and that is 855-435-7693. So that
number again?
Yeah, 855-435-7693. And that is the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights.
We are here with Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, who is giving us the latest on what is happening in Chicago related to both ICE and the National Guard. We're going to take a break here and have more with Jake when we come back. You're listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. We are coming up on the top of the hour. I'm John Parker in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. We're joined by Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times. Part of the story that you're covering, Jake, related to the ICE attacks on Chicago residents and the impending National Guard coming in there is what local lawmakers are attempting to do in terms of laws. And I think that coming at multiple levels of state government in Illinois. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, our lawmakers might not be the full solution, but it's really important that people who are upset about what's happening are contacting their elected officials right now and asking them, what are you doing to stand up to ICE's actions at this moment? There are a number of lawmakers who outlined at a press conference last week some of the actions they're taking. And this is at varying levels of government. So I'll start with the federal. U.S. Rep. Delia Ramirez, she is working on passing the Sensitive Locations Act, which would keep ICE out of places like schools, hospitals, and churches. And it was at a hospital where this alderperson was handcuffed last week because they were arresting a man who was in the ER there. They're at the federal government. They're also working on the No Secret Police Act, which would require ICE agents to show identification and not wear masks. A little more locally, state lawmakers are trying to ban ICE from those sensitive locations. At the county level, they passed a resolution requiring county officials to alert others in the county if ICE is on their property. They're urging the chief judge to ban civil arrests inside courthouses, and they're trying to limit data sharing to block ICE from third-party brokers. I do think I remember covering a county hearing last year where this came up. There is a contract they have that does share, at the time, it shared locations with the Department of Homeland Security, or not locations, but sensitive information with the Department of Homeland Security. So those are the things they're trying to address. And then at the city level, it's hard because how do you enforce these things? But Mayor Brandon Johnson passed an executive order yesterday creating ICE-free zones, basically stating that ICE cannot conduct its business on city property. They've also tried to say that ICE needs to show their face, that they can't wear masks, and they need to be identifiable. But again, how are you able to enforce these things when you have a rogue federal government?
Well, who typically enforces the mayor's executive orders?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, are we counting on the Chicago police to go to these ICE agents and be like, you're breaking the executive order? I don't see that happening, so I just have a lot more questions on it. It's great to see these efforts, but I do want to see how they're going to be enforced.
I don't want to say they're papering over the issue, but yeah, it does. If there's nobody there to enforce them, I would be curious to see is the next step then that Mayor Johnson directs the police department to say you have to enforce these things that we're saying here.
And how scary is that? Now we've got two different agencies of law enforcement, quotes in the case of ICE, being pitted against each other. And I think that's what Trump is trying to set up. So it's alarming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So
I will say there's one other thing people can do to get involved, and that's protest. If you're listening in Chicago on WCPT radio, it already happened, but Wednesday night there is a protest downtown against the National Guard and ICE in Chicago. And then there's also the nationwide No Kings protest happening on October 18th. And we're expecting a really big crowd at the rally and protest march happening in Chicago. And I think that's at noon, October 18th in Grant Park.
Okay. It is going to be very interesting to see how the Guard responds to that particular protest. I'm assuming that you're going to be there reporting.
Yeah, I plan to be.
All right. We'll have to stay tuned to Jake has an excellent account on Blue Sky where you can stay up to date with the reporting that he is doing for the Windy City Times. In lighter news, there
a bit
is
of a palate cleanse.
Open House Chicago. We have a couple minutes left to talk about that.
So Open House Chicago is an annual festival showcasing architecture all around the city. And what it involves is more than 200 sites across the city opening their doors to the public. Many of these typically aren't open to the public. And this year it's exciting because there's a couple LGBTQ plus sites that are new to the program. And that is the Center on Halstead, which is our largest LGBTQ plus community center in the North Halstead neighborhood. And then the Gerberhardt Library and Archives, which is the largest LGBTQ plus archive in the Midwest. And what's really cool is they're offering tours of their cold storage rooms and their archives, which normally are closed to the public. It's just for researchers to access. So it's a cool opportunity. It's October 18th and 19th.
Wow. Are you going to go to get access?
I've had access before, so no, I'm kidding. I have, but I do. If I'm free that Sunday, I will. Unfortunately, Saturday is the No Kings protest, and I'll likely be there instead. So.
Well,
All
be
right.
careful.
Yes. Yes. I hope you have a big press pass, clearly visible. Well, I mean, yeah, they don't seem to care about that either. All right. Thank you, Jake, for joining us. Visit windycitytimes.com/newsletters to sign up and stay up to date weekly newsletters that Jake manages there for the Times. And you can also visit their website daily for news updates on what's happening on a variety of issues affecting the LGBTQ community. You can also follow him on Blue Sky. That handle, Jake, is
Jake Wittich, Wittich. I'm not sure exactly. Just search my name.
I think it's like .bsky.app.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you back here in a couple weeks.
Yes, I'll be back.
All right. Thank you, Jake. And thanks, everyone, for listening and or watching today on YouTube. Up next on WCPT 820 is Chew's Views with Richard Chew. On AM 950 Radio, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, step into the unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghostbox Radio. Stream us everywhere you get your podcasts or watch us at youtube.com/@thegailyshow. And you can connect with us on Blue Sky. We're at thegailyshow.org there. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Queer without fear.
The Minneapolis Institute of Art invites you to experience Gatsby at 100, exploring how F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel, The Great Gatsby, both shaped and was shaped by the visual art of its time. This exhibition brings together works from Mia's collection that embody the decadence, excess, and social upheaval of Fitzgerald's most famous novel, highlighting paintings, books, and works on paper that are rarely on view. Come see it at Mia, always free and open to everyone. Learn more at artsmia.org.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit Buzzcut Mowing